Wake up. Open your eyes. Forget the gleaming marble. Forget the speeches, laurel crowns, perfect statues, and heroic myths Hollywood loves to sell you. That Rome was real, but not for you. If you were born in the ancient capital as an ordinary person, you would not dine with senators or walk through sunlit courtyards. You would belong to the 99%. You would wake in the dark belly of the empire, packed inside a rotting apartment, breathing smoke, fear, and the smell of a city that has forgotten what clean air is. Welcome to the Subura, the most notorious slum in ancient Rome. A district so crowded, loud, dirty, and unequal that a modern person would feel overwhelmed before the first hour was over. Here, survival is not a plan for the month. It is a problem for the next few minutes. Every staircase can collapse. Every alley can turn violent. Every meal can make you sick. Every night can end in fire. You have 24 hours to survive here, so take one breath, if you can bear the smell, and keep your head down. Because the sun is rising over the richest city in the ancient world, and for people like you, morning does not bring hope. It brings noise, hunger, debt, and another brutal day at the bottom of Rome's food chain. You wake up coughing. Your room is barely a room at all. It is a cramped, soot-stained box on the 6th floor of a leaning insula, one of the Roman apartment blocks built quickly and cheaply for people with no better option. There is no glass in the window, only warped shutters rattling in the morning wind. The cold slips inside without asking. So does the noise. You are not alone. Your family is here. Maybe a stranger too, paying a few coins to sleep in the corner because even misery can be rented out in Rome. Bodies are packed tightly. Privacy is a fantasy. The mattress beneath you is thin straw alive with dust and fleas. The ceiling creaks with every movement from the room above. The floorboards beneath your feet feel soft in places, swollen from moisture and age. In the modern world, height means luxury. In the Subura, the higher you live, the poorer you are. The wealthy stay close to the ground, where walls are thicker and escape is possible. Up here, you live in the sky because no one important cares whether you fall from it. And then the smell hits you again. A sour mix of charcoal smoke, damp wool, old sweat, and human waste. In the corner sits the clay chamber pot your household has used through the night. It is overflowing. Carrying it down 6 flights of dark stairs before dawn would take effort you do not have. So you do what everyone around you does. You drag open the shutter. You lean out over the narrow street below. You listen for footsteps. Then you dump the contents into the alley. A splash echoes off the stone. A voice curses from below. Somewhere nearby, another window opens for the exact same reason. In this district, law exists in theory. Convenience wins in practice. Then another sound cuts through the morning. A crack, sharp, violent, wood giving way. Somewhere in the district, another insula is failing. Buildings collapse here often enough to become part of the background rhythm of life. Fire is just as common. One dropped coal, one careless brazier, and an entire block can become a furnace. You pull on your rough wool tunic, already stiff with old smoke. It scratches your skin like punishment. If you stay here, the room may kill you. If you leave, the city might do it faster. You step into the stairwell and begin the descent in near darkness. The steps are uneven. Damp stone sweats under your sandals. There are no railings, no lamps. You move one hand along the wall as you go. Somewhere below, a child cries. Somewhere above, someone coughs so hard it sounds painful to hear. By the time you reach the ground floor, your stomach is already tight with hunger. Then you push open the heavy door, and the Subura hits you all at once. The smell arrives first. Rot, mud, smoke, dung, stale urine, cheap oil, wet wool, and too many bodies packed too close together. Then the sound. Metal striking metal, wheels grinding over stone, sellers shouting prices, arguments flaring, donkeys braying, dogs barking. It is not city noise, it is pressure. The street is barely a street. It is a narrow channel of muck bordered by leaning buildings that shut out the sky. Garbage is everywhere. Vegetable scraps, broken pottery, bones, ash, slop thrown from upper windows. The ground is a thick mixture of mud and waste that creeps into your sandals with every step. There is no clean route. You walk through it because you have to. You keep one hand over your coin pouch. The Subura is full of men who can steal without breaking stride. There is no officer waiting at the corner. If trouble finds you here, you solve it yourself, or you do not solve it at all. Then the crowd jolts. A booming voice orders the street cleared. Before you can react, a bodyguard drives you hard against a rough wall. Around you, people scatter into the edges of the alley. Through the middle comes a litter carried on the shoulders of exhausted slaves. Inside, half reclining like a man moving through another universe, is a wealthy patrician wrapped in clean white fabric, so bright it almost looks unreal against the filth. He lifts a scented cloth to his face. Not because the city smells bad, because you do. His slaves strike commoners aside to clear the path. He never looks at you. He does not need to. He is heading towards sunlight, marble, and politics. You are heading deeper into the machinery that keeps his world clean. Rome is not one city. It is two cities using the same streets. Before work, you need food, not comfort, just enough to stop your body from failing before midday. That means joining the line of clients. You walk uphill, away from the foul belly of the Subura, and toward the districts where the elite live behind painted walls and polished thresholds. The transition feels unreal. The air is calmer here. The streets are cleaner. Wealth in Rome is not subtle. It radiates. You stand outside the house of your patron with dozens of other men in worn tunics and tired faces. This is the daily ritual in which poor citizens appear before a richer man to receive a token of support and, in return, display loyalty and dependence. You wait and wait. Finally, the doors open. For one brief moment, you glimpse a different Rome. Smooth mosaic floors, walls painted in deep reds and rich blues, a shallow pool reflecting the light, quiet servants moving through clean space. The air smells of oil and incense instead of sewage and smoke. A servant steps forward holding a small basket. Your daily gift. You look inside and feel the familiar sting of insult. Hard bread, a few bruised olives, a couple of small coins. Barely enough to matter, but too important to refuse. The humiliation is part of the transaction. You are expected to bow your head, praise the generosity of a man who will forget your face before the door closes, and leave grateful for the privilege of not starving. So you do it. Because pride does not fill the stomach. You need more than bread and a few coins, so you go to the Roman laundry. From outside, you can smell it before you enter. A fierce stench that burns the back of your throat and makes your eyes sting. This is where the spotless appearance of the Roman elite is manufactured. This is where bright togas are rescued from sweat, grease, dust, and city grime. And the miracle ingredient is urine. Public collection jars stand on street corners throughout the city. People relieve themselves into them. The liquid is gathered, aged, and brought here because ammonia cuts through filth better than anything else available. To the wealthy, a white toga signals dignity. To you, it signals hours of standing in a vat of fermented human waste. You step into the stone basin. The liquid reaches your calves, then your knees. Warm, sharp, sour. Bundles of soiled fabric are thrown in around you. Another worker barks for you to start. So you do. You stomp, over and over, grinding cloth against stone. The air inside the workshop is thick and hot. Every breath feels like inhaling punishment. Hours pass that way. There is no elegance here, just labor so repetitive it almost removes your sense of self. Your legs ache, your lower back tightens, your skin feels raw. Small cuts on your feet light up with pain every time the liquid moves. Around you, other workers keep the same rhythm because slowing down invites shouting or lost wages. This is the hidden engine of elite appearance. The senator's clean white toga begins here, under your feet. And that is Rome in miniature. One class performs the discomfort, so another class can perform the illusion. When your shift finally ends, you climb out with shaking legs. Your tunic clings to you. Your skin smells so foul that even you want distance from your own body. But the city does not care how tired you are. It only asks whether you can keep moving. By late afternoon, hunger has sharpened into pain. Cooking at home is dangerous, expensive, and often forbidden in these upper apartments. because one careless flame can burn half the block. So most poor Romans eat outside, buying what they can from street stalls. At the counter, people press shoulder to shoulder. Laborers, mothers, drifters, men too tired to speak. Large jars are set into the stone, each holding something boiled, stewed, stretched, or reheated enough times to stop asking questions about quality. You pay with coins that still feel too small in your hand. In return, you receive a bowl of pulse, thick grain porridge, cheap and filling, the food of survival rather than pleasure. It is gray, lumpy, and heavy. You take the first bite and feel grit between your teeth. Poor flour is rarely pure. Every mouthful feels designed to keep you alive without ever letting you enjoy being alive. To improve the taste, the vendor splashes garum over the top. Fermented fish sauce, salty, sharp, impossible to ignore. The smell reaches you before the flavor does, and for a moment it seems impossible that anyone learned to crave it. But hunger makes many things acceptable. You dip your bread into the bowl and eat quickly. Flies drift over the counter. A dog noses through scraps nearby. Someone argues over price. Someone else coughs beside the food. The whole scene is filthy, public, and ordinary. You wash it down with pasca, watered sour wine safer than trusting whatever water happens to be available in the street. In the Subura, even thirst requires strategy. It is not a good meal. It is a successful one. You tell yourself to wait until home, but your body refuses. So you turn toward the communal latrine. The room is built of stone and shadow. The air is heavy before you even enter. Inside, men sit side by side on a long bench with cutout openings. No walls, no stalls, no privacy. Beneath the bench, water moves through a channel carrying waste away toward the great sewer. At your feet runs a shallower gutter. Resting in it is the tool everyone must use, a sponge fixed to a stick, rinsed and returned again and again in the same dirty water. You pause, not because you have an alternative. Because modern instinct still wants to believe there should be one. There is none. Around you, conversation continues with strange normalcy. Someone complains about prices. Someone jokes. Someone stares into the distance as though this part of life has become too ordinary to register. That may be the most unsettling part of all. You finish as quickly as possible and leave feeling less clean than when you entered. Rome is efficient at moving filth. That does not mean it is good at protecting you from it. By sunset, the city changes character. Daytime Rome is crowded, loud and cruel. Nighttime Rome is something else entirely. There are no streetlights. Once darkness settles into the alleys, the Subura becomes a maze of shadow. You stay close to the walls and move quickly, listening harder than you look. And then, the wagons begin. During the day, many carts are restricted because the streets cannot handle the congestion. So at night, commerce returns all at once. Heavy wagons thunder through the darkness, wheels scraping against stone, drivers shouting into alleys too narrow for safety. If you do not flatten yourself against the wall in time, you can be crushed without the driver even seeing your face. But the wagons are not the worst part. The worst part is that darkness belongs to people who prefer witnesses absent. Muggers wait where the alley bends. Drunks stumble into anger. Gangs move in clusters. Somewhere nearby, pottery shatters. Farther off, someone yells. Every sound feels closer than it is. You quicken your pace. Then comes a different sound. A shout, cutting through the district. Fire. You stop and look up. 3 streets away, orange light suddenly blooms against the night. Flames climb the side of an insula. Dry timber, cramped rooms, open flames, panic, wind. The ingredients are always waiting. People begin yelling from windows. Figures crowd stairways. Smoke rolls upward in thick waves. The night watch runs toward the blaze with buckets, hooks, and axes. But even that is no guarantee of rescue. In Rome, saving the block often means destroying the buildings around the fire before the flames can spread. Your home is not far. You stand in the mud for a single suspended second and realize the truth you have been living all day. In the greatest city of the ancient world, your life can be erased by rotten wood, foul water, bad food, a violent stranger, or a spark on the wrong night. Nothing about your survival is secure. It is rented, day by day, coin by coin, breath by breath. At last, you make it back to your insula. You climb the dark stairs again, past the smell, past the groaning wood, past the rooms packed with the exhausted poor of the empire. You enter your cramped space, lower yourself onto the straw mattress and listen. A baby crying somewhere down the hall, someone arguing through a thin wall, footsteps overhead, the distant echo of the city still grinding long after dark. You survived this day. You were not crushed by a collapsing staircase. You were not robbed in an alley. You were not consumed by the fire. You worked, you ate, you endured. And that, in the Subura, counts as success. But tomorrow will demand the same payment all over again. No glory, no marble, no heroic soundtrack. Just smoke, mud, noise, labor, humiliation, and the constant awareness that the empire shining in history books was built on people living exactly like this. If this journey through the real Rome pulled you in, subscribe to Filth Fortune POV. There are more lost worlds waiting to be uncovered.
Get your bread here, still warm from the oven. Clear the path, make way for the master.